Hey, welcome to Film Fanatics. My name is Dan.
My name is Justin.
And I'm Joe.
This week, the latest horror sequel, A Decade Too Late, Rings, plus the last two big Oscar movies we have to tackle, Lion and Jackie. So we start with Rings.
Yeah.
And Joe, that's going to be with you.
Well, there's really not too much to synopsize here, but it does take place actually after the second film, which I never saw.
I didn't either.
I know there were deer.
I did.
I only saw the first one.
Well, you can tell me about it afterwards, actually.
You don't need to.
I heard I didn't, but I liked the first movie quite a bit when I saw it back in the day. Probably too young to have watched it, but I remember it terrified me a lot. And I do think that I feel like it could easily be taken in a campy direction, but something about that movie just scared me a lot, and I've never wanted to watch it again, so it unnerved me enough that it left that much of an impact. So Scary Movie did its job. As far as this one goes, well, we've got people in a university who decide that it's a good idea to investigate the history of this thing, which does a very specific thing. Just kill you.
Yes.
In 7 days, for anyone who doesn't know about this point.
In 7 days. And so people kind of feel like the best way to uncover what happened is to actually track down, what's her name again? Samara? The ring girl, as I call her, and go to the town where things originally happened, and you've got Vincent D'Onofrio there as a blind, wise old guy in the horror movie cliche to tell you everything that happened. And yeah, then, horrible stuff ensues, and theoretically the mythology is kind of expanded on a little bit, but...
Oh, there's more to talk about there, but I'll let you go.
Yeah, but basically, at the end of the day, it's kind of all the same. Except, everyone in it is kind of bad, so... I just feel like that they... Even D'Onofrio, I think, is kind of like, he's the best thing about it, I think, in terms of acting, and he is just like asleep, most of it.
Yeah.
Really. And though...
Him and Galecki are the only two names in the whole cast.
Yeah, I didn't know any of the
I
other
didn't know
people,
anybody else.
Which I guess if you're going to go for the typical, high school slasher monster thing, that's fine, but I just didn't think any of the actors were really any good at all. I thought every jump scare was tired. I was tired when I watched it, but so I was kind of bored throughout most of it. So I mean, really, there's very few scares to be had here. I did want to ask you something about mythology, Justin, because I forgot. I remember that she has a power where she's able to do something to this one guy, D'Onofrio's character. I don't know if she had the power to I don't know. I don't know. I don't think her powers are vaguely defined anyway. I thought it was just kind of...
Like I said, we'll get to that.
Yeah, because it's been...
everything in due time, Joe.
I was just I didn't think she had the ability to cure blindness.
Without getting spoilers.
Spoilers, I'm sorry. She can cure the injured, apparently. To kill them, I couldn't... I don't know. Anyway...
It did make a lot of sense.
It really did.
It really didn't. And so I feel like this movie was kind of trying to do something different, but... Maybe it is, like you said, it's way too late. You kind of spoiled your review a little bit, Dan. And I didn't really like...
It's just the latest in the string.
I didn't think that it was, the worst thing I've ever seen. I kind of liked the fact they were trying to learn more about what happened, but it just wasn't scary. And it was badly acted, and I was bored through a lot of it. And
It's not what you want.
I didn't really...
Especially for a horror movie.
I didn't expect anything, but I feel like it was even worse than I expected. So, if that makes any sense. Right. But what do you guys think of? I don't know. Do you want to go, Dan, or Justin?
Well, I mean, Justin's eager to talk about the mythos, so...
Tell me more.
Eager might be a generous term, but...
He wants to get it over with, is what
Let's go on.
Could be.
I would say the Ring franchise has overstayed its welcome in the U.S., but I look at Japan, which started off as a TV movie... Then the movie that inspired the 2002 version, then a sequel that's technically non-canon, then a canon sequel, then another sequel, a sequel after that, and then two crossovers with The Grudge. Needless to say, it's got a following. The problem right now is, I think The Ring does have a place in contemporary society. The videotape, obviously out of style, but I think with the role of streaming and content in our everyday life...
Spoilers, if they update it by the end of the movie, I think everybody's kind of screwed.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
Not to give spoilers, but...
No, but they probably... You know what I mean.
But no, I think there's definitely been some interesting scholarship about, okay, what does it mean about the way we view video and aspects like that. I've read some really intelligent stuff about it, and I think there really is a place for The Ring in terms of that. This is not the movie to be leading the charge. Where I will give it points. While the first I'm going to say third of the movie, which is essentially taking the short film that was sort of the prologue for The Ring 2 and more or less expanding on it in this was a little bit heavy-handed and kind of pointless. I was kind of intrigued by it for a little bit, taking a different stance on it. Like, okay, is Samara really the most terrifying aspect, or is it really the cult following she's garnished that's really at stake here? And it doesn't obviously work here, but I was intrigued by it. The problem is we get that for, like I said, literally a third of the movie, and then we jump straight into actual Ring movie that's got multiple continuity errors as well as contradicting the mythos that was set up in both The Ring as well as The Ring 2. Now, to be fair, the first Ring movie I never really thought was that scary. I thought it was a really good mystery, but I can see why people thought it was scary at the time. Admittedly, I saw it after I started getting used to horror movies, so how legit that would be, I don't know. But it's just a really, really mediocre sequel / pitiful attempt at a reboot. There's really not too much more to say about it.
Well, the first one gave me nightmares, the original Ring. So I did never see the second one. No interest. I mean, I think the first one is genuinely frightening. This one, first of all, the opening scene is completely useless.
Throwaway.
Oh, I was going to say.
It involves characters that don't appear anymore.
It's
Final
it's Destination.
Yeah, it's almost, yes, it's like Final Destination.
It's very Final Destination.
Have the first scene be where Galecki is at the yard sale or the flea market, whatever it is, and then sees the tape and whatever. I mean, we don't need two scenes with the videotape.
No.
Yeah.
If this version of the film is based on the web, just have the original. Anyway, so the continuity, yes, Justin, it's awful. It's all over the place. There's just a lot that doesn't make sense with this movie. Not least of all, just the very nature of the spreading of the tape. Or the video, I guess, in this case. I didn't think it was that scary.
Not especially.
Either. No. I don't know if that's because it didn't make any sense. I was like, okay, well, I can't be too scared. Like, I think the scariest horror movies, for me anyway, are things that sort of take place in the real world with possible paranormal dimensions or something, something like Sinister or, some of the Paranormal Activity stuff or... even, a Scream or a Chainsaw Massacre where it's, a guy running around killing everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
But something like this where it's like, it just makes so little sense in so many different areas, it's kind of hard to be frightened by it. Also, this was not mentioned, but this movie was originally supposed to come out in October and was sort of mysteriously pushed back to now, like a week or two ahead of time. My theory on this is the D'Onofrio character. Because Don't Breathe, which just came out in late August or September, I mean, at its core, had a blind man. The point is that I don't think anybody really thought Don't Breathe was going to be a big hit.
No.
And it was, so it stuck around a while. And I think, because the first thing I thought of when... D'Onofrio's character shows up is we just did the blind man bit in a horror movie.
Yep.
So that may or may not be why it was pushed back, but I certainly thought the parallel was there.
Maybe.
The acting is terrible.
Oh, it's bad. It's really bad.
So bad. You're right, Joe. D'Onofrio even is not very good.
He's not.
I don't know what Johnny Galecki's doing in this movie.
Money?
He makes $1 million an episode on Big Bang Theory. Yep. The guy's not hurting for cash.
No.
Stretching his horizon?
Maybe stretching it out. This would not be the thing for me, No, if I read this script, I'd be like, I know I can do better than this.
Yes.
Well,
But, to each its own. But I will give Rings this.
Uh-oh.
Originally, I thought, well, this is just among the worst of the worst in quite some time. But then a few days later, I saw a show that we bypassed on the show here called The Bye Bye Man, which was awful. And so it's definitely a step up from that. So it's not a movie I can fail, but it doesn't have a lot of positives. Mythos, not really coming together. The acting is bad. It's not scary.
Another one to let go, gentlemen?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It's like the Blair Witch. I mean, this was.
Yeah.
Although the Blair Witch
Well-
was more of a retread of the first one.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
this just sort of goes off the rails in many
Literally.
different directions. Sometimes literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still would like to
Yeah.
see someone like take a legitimate stab at it, but this is obviously not the movie to do it.
No, but I agree. I think that The Ring could come back. It needs to be
Yeah.
handled with
It needs the
care.
right script and it needs the right people.
Yeah, maybe go
Like,
back to basics.
if Gore
simplify
Verbinski
it.
came back, I'd be on board.
Yeah, maybe. But I guess you guys want to hear my grade.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
wait.
Well, I definitely can't give it an A for effort,
No.
but I will give it a D for effort.
Okay. Yeah, it's a D for me as well.
And D minus, gentlemen.
Okay. So up next is Lion, and that's with Justin.
Okay. After a terrible mistake, Saru, played by Sunny Pawar in his youth and Dev Patel when he's older, is lost literally thousands of miles from his home. Years later, now adopted by an Australian family, played by Nicole Kidman and David Wenham, the need to find his home still lingers within Saru as he makes use of Google Earth to try and make it back. Really, I feel like at the heart of this movie is the question of what is family? What defines family? And the movie essentially attacks this in two ways. In childhood and in adulthood. And honestly, I would argue the former is better in this case. Largely because it makes great use of action, great use of character development in very small, intricate ways, and really playing up the whole fish out of water aspect. The problem is, well, the first half is really focused, really straightforward, really trying to make the most of every scene that comes forward. The second half shoves so much in. We have the love interest. We have the brother who's painfully underdeveloped and goes absolutely nowhere. We have the parents.
True.
We have the mandatory, even though we're not related, we're still family speech, which is poignant and delightful, but it's a little preachy. And then we have Google saves the day.
Hey, you can't take away points for that. Google Earth. This is the Google Earth movie.
There is so
It brings people
might as well be
together.
one gigantic Google product placement ad.
It's like a PSA. Like,
My
bring us
apologies
together.
to the internship.
Yeah, but it did happen.
It did,
happen.
but it is,
and it's a little less. It's a little better than the internship in that regard, but
It's a little different.
it is.
story.
It is still one gigantic Google ad.
It really is. It really is. Google Earth is at literally the heart.
Praise
of
be
this
to the Almighty Google.
Well, if
Hey,
that saved the
which is
day, then
fine.
that saved the
Which
day.
is fine because Google's great.
Yeah.
Don't sue us, Google.
No, they won't. No, I mean it's. I think it was a. I think it was a clever way of doing it. Yeah, they may have focused on it a little too much, but hey, the people behind
it
the
did
story,
work. It did make
Google Earth was
sense,
great. It
but-
helped. You know?
I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty freaking noticeable.
It definitely is, though. You're not wrong.
Yeah. So this is a very good movie. I'm okay with the fact that it's up for Best Picture. It's very well paced. It's pretty well acted. But honestly, if it was the first half consistently the whole way through, I'd be far more content with the actual, and then in comparison to the actual second half.
What about the other noms? You got Patel
Yeah.
for supporting.
Slumdog.
I would say most of them I'm okay with. Screenplay, maybe a little bit. I'll be honest with you, gentlemen. I didn't actually see this before we did the snub list, so it's
Yeah, I didn't either.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't. I know that.
But I'd say for the most part, I'm okay with what it was chosen for.
Okay. Well, I thought Patel was great in this movie. Very removed from any character he's played since Slumdog.
I was happy.
I know he was trying to branch out a little bit and do like some light comedy and do the Airbender and nothing.
Best Exotic?
to me, yeah, like Best
Yeah.
Exotic. The 100-foot journey. No, he wasn't in 100-foot journey. Was he?
No,
The
that was the
mathematician
other
guy. Which one was that?
$1 Million Arm.
Oh, that's
No,
right.
no.
No, Infinity.
Infinity.
Oh,
Man
yeah,
in
yeah,
Infinity.
maybe.
No, $1 Million Arm was the brother from Slumdog.
Yes.
Slumdog 2.
But anyway, yeah. So I thought he did a really good job here. I'm actually kind of happy to see him nominated. My main problem with this movie is that whole middle section, and it is nothing against Google Earth. I don't care that. Listen. This is how it would be like criticizing the founder for talking about McDonald's too much. I mean, if this is the story, then this is the story. You know, you use Google Earth to find your birth parents. Okay, then that's great. but it was just very boring because it was like,
Yeah.
you know, he's
Here's
on
me scrolling. Here's me scrolling more.
right, he's on the laptop a
I will
lot,
find
you know.
Mountains.
So for me, that part wasn't very exciting. Whether it was, you know, too much advertising for Google, I don't really find that to be the case. I just thought it was boring.
It's bordering on it.
But I think it's
You
a
know.
combination, probably.
Yeah, like it fits the story, but it does kind of stick out like a sore thumb.
It's one of those things that's hard to make exciting on film.
Yes,
That's
I agree.
It really is.
I agree. And there are ways to do it. I mean, people have certainly done, you know, the research angle. Yeah, typing
Research
on
montage.
or looking at the microfiche in the library or
Magnifying glass.
whatever.
Oh,
Yes.
see what I found, you know.
But this was not that.
No.
So, yeah, I agree. I think probably the strongest part of the story is that first 45 minutes or 40 minutes where he's a little boy.
Mm-hmm.
I was alone in the theater when I saw it, and I was like hollering things, and I was really talking to the screen in this one.
Oh, no.
Talking to the character. No, just saying like when the kid falls asleep on the bench in the beginning of the movie. Now, you know me, I don't look at previews a lot, so I didn't really know what was going to happen in this movie.
Yeah.
I kind of knew it was a journey to get back to his real parents, but I didn't know how he got wayward. I didn't know if he got, like, sex traded. Like, I didn't know what was going on when he fell asleep on that bench, and I was just like,
Came
oh,
up
God.
briefly.
Like, what's going to happen? So, yeah, they jam-pack a little too much in. I agree. But I thought it was overall fairly enjoyable. Joe?
I agree. I think fairly enjoyable is a perfect way to
Yeah.
state it. Like,
Yeah.
I really liked how this movie, especially early on, really took advantage of the cinematography. And, like, they really, like, just kind of used the visuals to really convey the mood. I thought it did that really well. Like, it's just a beautiful movie. A lot of those sections. There's definitely that aspect that I think if it was getting any technical awards, I think there's some nods there.
Yeah.
It looked very good. I thought the acting was good for the most part. I think that the pacing issue came for me a little bit because I felt the first part was a bit more focused. Mm-hmm. And I liked that. And then it felt like we had the whole Google search thing, which was a bit distracting.
You could have trimmed it.
Not very exciting. And then everything kind of did become overly jam-packed. And I kind of wish they'd cut a few things out just to keep it more focused like it was in the
Like,
first
we don't
part.
need 19 different subplots.
No,
the
like-
story here is him using Google Earth to find his way back.
Yeah, and I think maybe like have integrating one or two of those characters to show we are your family too is to get that message across is fine. But it's like there were too many angles. I feel like the most interesting part is the beginning. You know, we wanted to see him get back there.
Right.
I would have liked it if it had been a little stretched out there and maybe cut a few subplots at the end. And the Google thing I think could have been one effective scene, maybe, and could have got the point across.
They could have montaged it, honestly.
And I feel like I hate to say that I think there was a Google. I feel like there was a Google Earth kind of push for this a little.
Praise be to Almighty Google.
Which is fine, I guess, but I thought it was distracting.
All right.
But overall, though, it was a good story. I think Dev Patel is good. I
Yeah.
thought it has some effective imagery, good emotions. It was a good movie, but I don't know if I'd say it was, anywhere near greatness.
No. Are you upset, though, that it's nominated for Best Picture? I think it's one of the weaker ones, for sure.
I don't think... I mean, I'm not really upset. I think I can see why the Academy might like it,
Yeah.
but I do feel like they're stronger movies.
I mean, if there was anyone to kick off the Best Picture list, I'd probably still say Hacksaw, but...
I would
I liked
kind
Hacksaw,
of agree, although the more I think about Hacksaw, the more I did really like it. So, I don't know. This might be my least favorite of the 9.
And I know Vince Vaughn. If he was cracking jokes, he would have...
Oh.
Well, that was my biggest problem with Hacksaw. You blend the two together. Vaughn did the internship at Google. Now he's on Hacksaw cracking jokes.
Everything's
You
connected.
combine the two.
Same movie.
Same
movie.
same movie.
Lion.
Owen Wilson shows up,
As the Lion.
I was going to say that Nicole Kidman's
What
husband.
did she call them at the... What was the name for the lion? It's a spoiler.
I don't know.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, we don't really find out about that until
Well,
the end.
yeah,
of the movie.
literally
Yeah.
almost the end.
Literally the last
I was
scene.
like, what do
but-
they call it? Lion? Oh.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, there it is.
It's cake all over again.
It really was. It really was.
Man, they liked cake in that movie.
It's like, why is it called cake? Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
There's the
true.
cake.
True. Yeah, so I don't know. I agree, Joe. I'm not, like, mad that it got nominated, but
I wasn't blown away
it
by
ain't going to
No.
be in my top 20. Like,
No.
you know.
Probably not for me.
Yeah, let's say that. But, yeah, I thought it was definitely good. Joe, what's your grade for Lion?
Leave with the B+.
B plus for me as well.
Same.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, finally we have Jackie, my movie,
Jackie O.
about Jackie O, Natalie Portman in her Oscar-nominated role here as Jackie Onassis, Peter Sarsgaard, Greta Gerwig, Billy Crudup, and now the late, sadly, John Hurt, all co-star. And this is a movie largely about Jackie reflecting to a reporter from Life magazine after her husband's death. And it basically covers the famous White House tour video she made, interspersed throughout things like the days following Kennedy's assassination, her wheelings and dealings with the Lyndon B. Johnson family afterwards, her public appearance afterwards, all that kind of stuff. I think this movie is excellent. Loved it. I actually watched it 2 days in a row. Number one that you get right away with this movie is the haunting score. That first moment where it comes in from black.
It was creepy.
It's creepy.
I was not expecting that.
Very creepy. And it is up for a Best Original Score Oscar, which I think speaks to its uniqueness.
Yeah.
Certainly. But I really like the things that this movie deals with over and above the assassination. It actually talks very little about the assassination itself. That's obviously been done to death.
You've already got JFK.
Clearly.
We had JFK, and then we had that movie a few years ago with Marsden.
Oh, Parkland.
Yeah.
Oh.
Was that Marsden was in that, right? Or Efron? Somebody was in that. Somebody from Hairspray was in it, is the point.
Giamatti, I believe.
Giamatti was in it. I think Efron was in it.
Yeah, I do remember Parkland.
Yeah, Parkland, yeah.
That was
so,
good.
I mean,
that
that covered it as well. So here we're really looking at more of the psyche of the most famous widow in the world.
Yeah.
For a very long time. I think it speaks to the American sensibilities in the wake of a tragedy at that time. I mean, at that point in time, in the TV era, it was the biggest thing that had ever happened. I mean, World War II happened pre-TV. This was a huge, huge thing, obviously. But, I mean, it was the first thing that was covered in such a way in that national spotlight. So her dealing with that was interesting. And I really enjoyed the structure of the film, going back and forth between this, White House press video intermixed with, later on after the assassination. And it goes without saying that Portman is excellent in this movie. If it were up to me, I would give her the Best Actress for this. My only real problem with the film is that because it is Jackie, and it's about Jackie, and Jackie front and center, nobody else really gets their due here. Greta Gerwig comes in for a couple of scenes. Billy Crudup's here for a couple of scenes. Hurt gets a couple of good ones. Sarsgaard gets a few good ones. But, I maybe would have liked to see a little more interaction with Lyndon Johnson's wife, perhaps, or some other people. But that's really my only flaw with the film. Joe, what'd you think?
I thought it was really good.
Okay.
I really liked it. I think...
History buff.
Yeah,
Naturally.
I thought it was pretty cool, actually, because I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest expert on Jackie, but as you know, I do really think that the JFK assassination's a really interesting topic, and JFK as a president, of course, and you're right, I think kind of tackling the media coverage and dealing with that tragedy was kind of a new thing, and she was kind of like really the face of basically the... I don't know, she was the first lady, so she was kind of like
the face of the nation, really.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah,
defined kind of
a few weeks anyway.
Really the model for basically what you were supposed to be for a long time. A lot of the young ladies looked up to her, and I think that Natalie Portman does a really good job of. I'm guessing she must have studied her movements and inflections so well because I'm just like,
she watched a lot of the old
tapes.
tapes.
Like you really like that's really cool. I was like that's really really cool. She does a great job, and just the nuances there was pretty scary. And you're right, the score was creepy. It was a much darker, more somber movie than I was expecting for some reason. I don't know why. I figured that the subject matter was dark, but I figured we would get more about her than just focusing on that particular time, which I guess that's the most interesting thing about Jackie, is that, so that kind of makes sense. But you are right. I think that the structure of the movie is interesting. I kind of feel like we could have gotten maybe a little more in certain areas of her life, maybe her relationship with Jack and maybe some things afterward, a little fleshed out. But it's so concentrated and over such little pockets of time that you're right. We got the Crudup interview. We've got
right.
We've got the old footage, which is interesting. But I don't know. I feel like it would have been nice to maybe have it broken up a little more solidly.
Okay.
Because I thought it moved around a little too unevenly, so I kind of wanted to stick with one thing. And if it had been a little more easily segmented, I think it would have flowed a little better.
Okay.
Agreed.
But I think a lot of those scenes are really good, though. So I didn't really feel like it was too upsetting. I thought it was very good. I enjoyed it. And I think Natalie Portman is just fantastic.
Amazing,
it's just
right?
Like,
no question.
I mean, I always liked her, but she just like wow.
Yeah.
It's just mind-blowingly good.
I don't think she'll win, sadly, but
I don't.
I think you still haven't seen La La Land, I know, but for me, it's a better performance than Emma Stone, certainly.
Well, I could probably have told you that without
Stone.
saying it.
Listen, Stone is very good in La La Land.
Oh yeah, she is.
But
Natalie
Come
Portman
on.
was in Professional. You know, she's been doing this since she was
Yeah.
like 12 or something.
Very true.
It's like A versus A plus, but
Yeah.
yeah,
There you
I
go.
would agree with that. I might knock Stone down a little more even.
Uh-oh.
But before we go to Justin, I realized my confusion with Marsden and Efron.
Okay.
Marsden plays JFK in The Butler, does he not?
he
Yes.
does.
So it was Efron in Parkland, and Marsden
Okay.
plays him in the other movie. Okay.
There we go.
So yeah, let's hear about Jackie.
All right. So with this one, I kind of had one prior lingering thought for the first couple weeks that this was sort of being touted as being a force to be reckoned with on the Oscar front. And that was simply, why this movie? Because I've heard about Jackie Onassis, and I've never really found any interest in why should we have a biopic about her. And immediately after watching this movie, I regret
You get it?
I vehemently regret said statements because there is so much material to mine here. And with biopics, we usually get one of two general angles. The biopic that focuses on a particular event in that person's life, or one that tries to capture the grand scope of things, which usually ends up being pretty much of a rush job, to put it lightly.
You've mentioned that before. I think it was one of the music biopics we talked
Yeah.
about, or maybe it was Selma even. When it
yeah,
focused on
it's-
the march rather than Selma.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's the Martin Luther King movie, except it's not.
Yeah.
And it's hard to split the difference.
Yeah, it is.
And that's also sort of where I think Jackie has its greatest strength and also its greatest weakness. I like the way it sets things up, sort of taking a page from Chaplin back in 1992. We're going to have this exchange with a journalist, and that's sort of going to pick and choose the moments that we're going to focus on for this story. I like the general setup of that. The problem with it is it's incredibly inconsistent.
Yeah.
Many of the flashbacks drag on significantly longer than they should. They're very well acted, they're very well shot. The cinematography in this movie is incredible. The score, I kind of had a love-hate relationship with. I think there are some moments...
Haunting.
Very haunting.
I'm not going to deny the fact that it's haunting. The problem is I feel like there's some moments where it's really well placed. The other times I feel like it's really awkwardly inserted.
Why is 9 Inch Nails here?
Yeah, it's like, is Trent Reznor scoring a biopic now? Really?
Well, he already did that, Social Network.
Well played. But no, really the heart and soul of this movie, and what really does drive this forward is Portman clearly did her homework.
Oh my God.
Clearly brought this all together.
So much
And
so.
managed to give us a character that's equal parts charismatic, empowering, and vulnerable, all at the exact same time. No easy feat, and Portman is more than up to the challenge.
Very game.
I don't know if she will win, but she certainly should win.
No.
There is no argument there. I'm actually surprised this one's not up for Best Picture, but it's a solid movie. I mean, if it were a bit more consistent and a little bit more smartly handled, I think it's maybe 5-10 minutes over long, but I've got very few issues with it.
Yeah, same. I think it's one of the year's best. And, yeah, it's funny because I think, other than Streep, of course, I think Portman's the only one nominated that's won before. Because obviously Stone hasn't. And then Huppert from Elle hasn't.
Yeah.
And then, Ruth Negga from Loving. She obviously hasn't. So, are they going to give it, to Portman because she's won, and fairly recently as well?
Yeah.
Maybe not, but
Hard to say.
I think she definitely deserves it, yeah. Joe, what's your grade for Jackie?
I give Jackie an A.
Me too.
Good.
Justin?
B+.
All right. Well, that will do it for the show. Just a few weeks left, and so our monthly Old Classic show is going to sort of delve into the psyche of us a little bit, and we'll give you a movie that may reflect our life a bit, or in Joe's case, maybe something that
I was going to say more disturbingly so, not to give spoilers, but
for a little bit, but but we'll see. So the next couple weeks we'll tackle things like Lego Batman and the 50 Shades Darker. So those will be interesting discussions, I'm sure. And you can check us out on the Facebook group Film Fanatics with an exclamation point, and the Twitter feed at Film Fanatics Pod. And Joe, already many solo reviews up. You got the Wick review up.
John Wick.
We'll be covering next week on our show.
Got Merlin cast.
Yeah.
Come up, and some D&D discussions.
Oh, very good.
Okay.
So yeah, so many videos coming out.
Yeah, almost every day, every other day.
Well,
There's a new
yeah,
Merlin.
Just a lot of
Incredible.
a lot. So
You've been busy.
yeah, it's been really busy, but it's been good though. It's been good.
Yeah, so you guys can check all those out as well, and you're on Twitter as well at Merlin Reviews.
True.
So, all right, well, thanks for listening, and we'll see you back here next time.